Hello everybody and welcome to the KISS European Race. My name is Jess Branker and as always I will be your host for this evening right here on Swift Community Live. So thank you so much for coming back. This is what now, my fourth week covering the KISS European Race, and I know you don't have to come back every Thursday evening and race or watch these streams, but it's kind of like your favorite burger joint. Like, you know it's bad for you, you know low key you shouldn't be going there, but you just feels right. You know what I mean? But anyway, KISS European Race last week was a ton of fun. It was twice the reverse London Loop course, which means we had to do Fox Hill twice. It was an amazing display of raw power from Johannes Hermann as he put everyone into the dust. I said he couldn't be caught. You guys corrected me. He did eventually get caught, and we saw a neck-to-neck sprint between Johannes Hermann of Team Vision and Tim Cartwright of KRT. Worthy mentions, we've got young Mason Butler up there who fought his heart out. He was Peddler de Charme last week, but we are racing with double draft tonight, and we have 4 laps of the reverse hilly course on Zwift. It's a great course. It's a lot of fun. But reverse hilly with double draft, I've never seen this before. I've never seen this course before with double draft, and I imagine it can be quite interesting to see. And in 30 seconds time, when that start gate drops, I'm excited to see who's taking the start line here tonight in the KISS European Race. But before we do that, I see we have a bunch of regulars tuning in. We've got Werner Finger, Jamie Woodward, Katrina Weiss, the U.S. National Champion of Swift, Claudia Behrings here, Martin Bjorovic, Jason Stern, and BJ Alfonso. How are you doing, guys? Thank you very much, as always, for tuning in. We're going in about 5 seconds time. 2, 1, and there goes the start. Now, time to look to see who has made the start list tonight. So we got Heinzelmann out of Germany. We've got Quinton Molyneux is off the front. He was sitting at a good 10 watts per kilo. We also have Killiam, who was up amongst the action last week in the racing. I am trying to get the stream up and running on my phone so I can read the chat as we go along and keep an eye on the viewer count as well. But we got Killiam here again. He's made the start line. Mason Butler is on the start line as well. He's making this another return. Morten Vang is here of KRT Racing. He's always a strong rider. Werner Finger, also always a massive hype. I would know him from the days of the Swift Riders Germany Autumn Series. And now we're seeing him join into the KISS European Race as well. His story by itself is very inspirational. He's had some difficulties in the last few years with some conditions, but he's overcome that. And he's now one of the stronger riders out of Austria on Zwift, Mr. Werner Finger. I see we have James McQuaid on there, who's raced the Sevilla World Cup qualifiers, and he's done quite well for himself from Team Draft. We got Navarro, who's in here in the race, Haggerty. We got Valdemar of Team Poland, always a strong rider. Looking further down, we have Jens Rasmussen. Oh my God, I cannot wait. Let's see. I see the feed is buffering, but it should be live. On my end, everything looks good. I do agree, though. I can see what Mr. Martin Bjorvik is seeing as well. It is just ticking along. I saw for a second there. If you can see me, if you can hear me, could you please confirm it in the chat? Because when I'm trying to pull up the stream on my phone, it just does the spinning of death. It just keeps spinning. So if you can hear me right now, and if you can see the broadcast, please confirm it in the chat, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, etc. That would mean a lot. In the meantime, I'm just going to pretend like you can hear me, because I do think so. See, Tom Bowler is saying he sees nothing either. Hopefully this is not a Facebook issue, but Jens Rasmussen is in here. Massive Heckle fan of Jess Branker and Cycling Hub. He's never, every time I do a race, he's always in there. And so Twitch is working, but Facebook is dead. That's interesting. Well, I guess we're just going to have to commentate for those watching on Twitch. I'm not sure what's happening to Facebook. This could be a Facebook integrated feature that's just not working. But thank you for confirming, James. But I'm just going to continue. And then if you want to watch this on demand, you can do that on Twitch. So if you're watching on Twitch right now, you are one of the few. But Jens Rasmussen, racing in the A's tonight. Good to see him back. He used to race out of his closet, like not even a walk-in closet, but like a hidden closet, like one you wouldn't really think you could race out of. But he's since upgraded. I believe he's upgraded from that. I think he can confirm or deny that later on. Van den Heide from Belgium is further down. Tim Cartwright is back. He's trying to make amends for last week's racing. He got beaten on the line by Johannes Hermann after a very, very long sprint. And it looked like he was going to take him, but he got beat in the very end by the German Panzer wagon. Mr. Golev is in here. Czeszynski, Fire. We've also got Søren Bay He's now been the pre-race favorite, according to me, for 2 weeks straight. And this will make him the third week in a row being a pre-race favorite. So it'll be interesting to see if he actually pulls one off for Team Experimental. 4 laps reverse with double draft. I'm still not sure who that favors because, I mean, you'd assume Søren Bay would get up there, but it's still very, very early on. So let me just all tap for a second as we're going down through the village, just to check how long today's race actually is. So looking at the events, I only have one monitor, so I do apologize. Looking at the KISS race, it is 37 kilometers in total. We should be right back in now. So 2.8 kilometers at the top, 37 in total is what we're going to be racing today. We have Igor Korps, who's also made his way in there, a very controversial figure in the Swift community. He was racing the CVR World Cup qualifiers last year when he was up there, and I think he actually would have qualified had he accepted the invite, but there's some clouded news around Igor Korps, but nonetheless, if you disregard all that, as a character, as a Swift racer, as a person, I'm absolutely in love with this machine. I mean, his nickname is the Hulk, and if you've ever seen him stream on CycleView, that is justified. I mean, Igor Korps, wow, like just absolute unit of a cyclist. You don't often see that in a cyclist. You usually see a distribution of weight into the lower regions, but Igor Korps is just from head to toe, one big like muscle. Just imagine a bicep, but over the entire body. That's basically what Igor Korps is, and it helps at his facial expressions when he's racing. He's not a robot. Most cyclists, they have this thing of like playing poker. They hide how they're actually feeling. They hide their facial reactions. But Igor Korps, no, whatever he's feeling, that is telecasted. That is broadcasted throughout his eyes, his mouth, like just his facial structure. That man just oozes of charisma, and that's a man I like to have a beer with one day. But we're heading outside of the Italian village now, the reverse course. They come up, and I believe they go straight over here. They go out, turn left, go straight, head over the little mini fake golden bridge, and then they head onto the reverse KOM. The secret to the reverse KOM, if you don't know, is to accelerate at the very, very steep bit. That is the only bit you really have to survive, and the rest you can somewhat draft on. So when you hit the reverse KOM, basically from the beginning, where you see the dashed lines across the road, to the top of where the aliens are, that is where you got to concentrate. The rest of the climb really doesn't matter, at least not as much. If you were to distribute it out and prioritize where to put your effort, I would put 95% of your reverse Watopia KOM effort into the first minute and a half. If you can survive that, the next 4 minutes, the next 3 minutes and a half, they're really not that tough. And that, again, I've never done it myself, but seeing it and listening and hearing from people's perspective, and also speaking to Tim Fulford and other high-end Swift racers, it is just about that first right-hand turn. You know, you'll see it in a second, because we're heading towards there now as we are zooming in towards the front of the group now. We got Søren Bay, you got Auclair, Persinga. We're going to see this group thin out quite a lot as they're now starting the climb. So if we go first-person view, it's from here to that right-hand turn. When you get to the top of that, that's where you're going to make your effort. And it looks like somebody on the front, we got Marksher out of Austria is going for it. So I'm just checking. I'm going back onto Facebook to see if it's fixed itself. I don't think so. I think it's actually been taken down, but I believe we're still streaming over on Twitch and Mixer. So if you're tuning in, thank you very much for still keeping me company. I know our main audience is usually on Facebook with reactions and engagements, but if you're tuning in on Twitch, this one goes out to you tonight. So Marsher's on the front, 9 watts per kilo. Golev out of Vikings, 9.6 further back. He's sitting in. You can see the gradient now. It's slowly coming down, 6%, 5%. The toughest bit of the climb is done right now, and that right there is almost the finish line. That's where you got to fight to get to. So if you're Jim McQuaid, if you are Peter Blair, or I believe it's Peter Blair, if you're further down, it could also be Paul. I'm just guessing P names at this point. But that's it. You survived the climb. Now you just got to roll on. Even Quinton Molyneux. I'm very proud to see our fellow Team Cycling member. He's actually in the tail end of things, so he's just made the cut. If you're further down and you're seeing Smith from Innovation Cycling, who used to race the Chop quite a lot, and Jesper Olsen, who's using an Aero power-up to get back on, with double draft in effect, they're going to struggle to get back on. It's 4 seconds, 5 seconds. We have a gruppetto now, and they'll catch tail enders from the front group, but they're now going to have to put in 6, 7, 8 watts per kilo to get back on. KW of BRT has to really put in an effort just to get back into that front group, whereas everyone else can kind of sit in and make sure to keep on drafting. They're still going hard, but this group further back has to work even harder just to get back onto terms with that front group. And that is the effect of the new double draft system. Jay Hargady of KRT, Jesper Olsen used his arrow power up, but it looks like he's going to pay off. Shakirski is in here. And then further back, they're just in ones and ones and ones. MD is down here, BRT. He used to be quite strong. Maybe he's just getting into that off-season shape of Swift. But it looks like Grupo Compacto, as Nathan would say, after that little effort. They've really had to duck deep to get back into the action. But after that hill, it looks like we've got group all together. So they go down, they turn left, and they've got another drag towards the top. I saw Johannes Herman on the start list. I saw him in the race. But looking around on the peloton, I don't see Johannes Herman anywhere. So he may have signed up, but it does not look like he's chosen to race tonight's KISS race. So he won't make it 2 in a row, but there's a chance of Tim Cartwright taking the win tonight or someone else trying to beat him to it. There was, speaking of double draft, as that seems to be the hot word, that seems to be the blockchain of Swift right now. Basically put it into any conversation and you are guaranteed an engagement. So I saw Greg Leo instigate a discussion on double drafting in Swift racers, and it was very interesting to see how that turned out, because so many people were against double draft. Like he said, so here's an open discussion of team double draft. Oh, I just seen someone mention me in Swift Riders Germany. That's funny. I'd love that t-shirt. There was a discussion on Swift Riders regarding Greg Leo's double draft comment saying, look, this is your one and only chance. Now let's discuss double draft. And literally every single high-end level Swifter hated it. Like they just did not like it. Like I know people don't like change, so we see a 326 reverse KOM. It's quite fast. Everyone just hated it. Like there was 300 comments on that thread last time I visited it, and it's literally like Lionel Vuising going, "Frick you! This is bad. This is really bad." And it's just interesting to see how that turns out. That Swift is trying something new, and I know people don't like change. But I'm going to go against the grain here and say I kind of like double draft. Not that I've ever raced it personally, but from a spectating point of view, it makes racing interesting and it shakes things up. And yes, I mean, it guarantees it to be a sprint more often than not. It's more difficult to get away in a solo peloton. But this should encourage you to go up and, as a group, try and organize attacks, try and organize racing, get together. Because I've seen it once, my very first KISS race on Innsbruck, where I believe there was an attack off the front. Oh, I cannot remember the names, but it was Draft versus Innovation versus Team Poland, and somebody broke away. Søren Bay didn't win it, but they managed to do a breakaway in a Swift race. That is unheard of. That never happens in Swift racing, but they managed it. And I know your counter argument is going to be, well, Team Fusion tried it in KISS or SZR or whatever race that was a while ago. They tried it. They used every single one of their riders, and they're quite strong. They used their aero power-ups, and what did they do? Well, they put some guys out of the back, but the group didn't get split up. They did all that work. They did 10 watts per kilo between them for a good minute and a half, and no one really managed to do anything. So it looks like we've got a guy trying to break off the front here. It's Marcher again now. But yeah, Team Fusion attempted with one of their... Oh, that's it. He's done. Is he done? Was that just it? Do you think it was a one-lap race? But it was fun to see Team Fusion attack and attempt it. But I think, don't knock it just yet. Don't hate it. I know Tim Fulford, my business partner and good friend, really hates double draft with a passion. But it's just the first rendition. It's just the first edition of double draft. And I think you can really take it somewhere if you were to fine-tune it. If this is the first edition, if this is double draft 1.0, if you just did a few tweaks, make it 1.1, make it 1.2, make it 1.3, you can nail Swift racing to a T. I know everyone is going to be saying, well, the speeds are too high. They're unrealistic. Double drafting is here to stay, whether you like it or not. Swift doesn't care. Or at least it doesn't seem that way to me. They like it. They like it, and they want more of it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I want to see it get bigger and better and change up how Swift racing works, because we're all tired of the same old. But That was 1 lap of 4 in total, so we got 3 laps to go now of the reverse KOM on Swift Watopia. It's going to be, so if you take that times 4, it's going to be roughly 50 minutes of racing today. So it's going to be a great workout. 37 kilometers in total, 27 kilometers left. For those of you who are tuning in on Twitch, I'm not sure the number of which, but I thank you. Otherwise, I'm just talking to myself here, commentating a Swift race. In that case, this is just great exercise going forward. As always, you can always get better as a commentator, and this is why we come back. This is why I come back every Tuesday and every Thursday, every Wednesday here in Swift Community Live, because it's a dream of mine to do this professionally one day. Looks like Jim McQuaid has gone on to the attack with the mare as well. Turnstrom is up here. He came second in last Tuesday's Kiss race. We got Auclair Bergen. Bergen, a personal favorite of mine out of the Vikings. His racing style is just superb, and always brings joy to my eye to see Bergen show up on the start line. Because every time, I've never met the person, but from his virtual racing, from his efforts, it's always fun to see how he does it. And the Vikings, team close to my heart. I've had the pleasure of meeting one of their main, I guess, pioneers, which is Mr. Bill Clinton. Yeah, you heard it right. Bill Clinton, Australian who moved to Norway, who is a member of the Vikings team, who I've met once or twice. Amazing guy, and he's very active, and he just displays the Vikings proud, which is fun. But seeing the trend in the first lap, I think we're heading towards a sprint. Unless a guy like Tim Cartwright wants to mess things up, which I do see he's on the front right now. It looks like we could be having another sprint on our hands tonight. But Tim Cartwright using the acceleration, using the incline to his advantage. It looks like he did not enjoy the slow pace at the back. Sorry about that. But Tim Cartwright, 6 watts per kilo off the front now. Now he brings it back down, changes it, looks around. He's at 5%, negative 5% actually. So what's he going to do now? He's got Killian behind him on Washed Up Racing. He was up there amongst the action last week, and it looks like Killian is actually trying to bridge across here from Washed Up Racing. I'm not sure how good of a move this is or how smart of a move it is. It's a great move if you can come across, but I'm not sure you want to expend your energy this early on into the race. And as always, joining me, I know in the UK it's 8 o'clock, but it's been a long work day for me. This is my 12th hour in the office, so I've got myself a cup of coffee here. So if you're watching on Twitch, I'll do my mandatory cheers to you. Thank you very much to keep me company. For everyone racing, cheers to you. And make sure to hydrate yourself, treat yourself. So this one goes out to you. I will just take a quick swip, and I'll be back in 5 seconds. As you know, usually when I do these commentaries, when I do them for Australia, that's the Chop, that's the Kiss Crit, whatever else that has been around for the Australian season, which I usually cover during the summer. I'm usually here with a co-commentator. I usually have a Wesley Salzberger, a Pat Shaw, who else has been with me over the years? I mean, even Tim Fulford has done some commentaries with me. We've had Jimmy. I can't remember his last name, but we had a few guys come around. We had a few guys on the broadcast. But as always, I say you are my co-commentator. But the thing is, that's been taken away from me today. With the Facebook broadcast not really abiding to what we wanted to do, I have lost the chat, and I'm actually unable to get the Twitch chat open. So I'm sitting here without my co-commentator, and I have to fly the ship. I have to fly the flag on my own. So if I do become a bit, I don't know, delirious, it's because I'm just literally talking to myself for 15 minutes, watching this race, explaining what I see in the screen, what are my thoughts, what are the anecdotes. And I know you're thinking to yourself, Jess, but that's just commentary. That's just what it is. But but usually you have a dynamic duo. Even if it's just a chat, you have someone to play off, someone to give you new ideas, someone to rest you up, and someone to energize you when you're doing this. And I know you're going to say, but the racers are energizing you. And yes, they are. They are technically the racers today are my co-commentators, and their efforts dictate my level of excitement and my level of engagement into the broadcast, because the more you attack, the more I have to show you. The less you attack, the more you sit in like this, try to rest up, try to play the long game, look up for the next reverse KOM. The more you're going to have to listen to me bicker and dapper and dipper into this topic, into that topic. And it basically turns into a Swift broadcast brought to you by Jesper, sold by sponsor, and just my thoughts. And I'm not sure that's healthy for anyone, because I would love to cover this race. I'd love to just go into detail about, oh my God, why Hund, which is dog in Danish, actually his last name, but from Germany, has done 14.2 kilometers. He's sitting at 50 kilometers an hour, 350 watts. And he's now hitting onto the reverse KOM. But at the end of the day, We're chasing pixels here. This is Swift Racing, and this is just a Thursday night KISS race. There's bragging rights on the line, and yes, they do matter a lot, but we're yet to have that crown, that jewel on Swift Racing just yet. KISS is the closest we're going to get. KISS, SZR, Morning Grand Fondo. Oh man, I can't wait to see some incentivized, like some incentives into Swift Racing, to see people race and points and standings and stories and legends and myths and everything. That's what drives me. But we're on the reverse KOM for the second time we're running today. We're seeing a featherweight being popped by Mason Butler, one of the favorites for this race, the young guy out of the US. He's up here. We got Morten Vang, Igor Corbs, Valdemar, Doving, Killam, Ivola, first name, last name out of Canada, one of the favorite ones. Gavin Arbor has decided to show up today as well. He's in here. Bjorn Osenbringer sent me a message. Oh my God, love that man. Let's see what he has to say in my chat. So he says, Assan Swift Racers. Oh my God. Assan Swift Racers Facebook gives you something to talk about. Thank you so much, Bjorn. This is actually quite nice of you to give me a subject to talk about. So massive shout out to Bjorn. Cheers to you, man. You rock. I think I had the pleasure of meeting you and your wife as well in Vancouver. He says, Tom Giggs, he put this in Swift Racers earlier. SADA will change name to SIVA Set. There's been a lot of confusion about SADA, Swift Anti-Doping Agency, and what we do. The name might imply that we actively hunt deliberate cheaters, whether it's through a manipulated setup or weight doping. As a result of this, people with SADA DQ, disqualification, on their Swift Power profile were sometimes seen as cheaters. While all these assumptions are untrue, the name does invite to think that way. This is why we've decided to change the name to SIVA Set, Cycling Equipment Verification Administration for Swift. That, my friend, is possibly... well, yeah. Anyway, the name needed to be changed, but that is a funny name. This name explains what we really do. We verify the equipment of the top-level cyclist on Swift. Therefore, if you were asked to provide data, it's actually a good thing because you are one of the top riders. It's not because you were suspected of cheating. While the name will change, everything else will remain the same. The badge for approved riders will remain the orange C, and the process of application will not change. Most importantly, for riders waiting for the result of their application, your data is still in our review system and does not have to be resubmitted. The name change will appear in Swift Power, and more information will follow right on from all the volunteers at SIVA Set. Oh, massive shout out to all the SADA or the SIVA Set guys that are now called now. So yeah, that's a bomb. Thank you so much, Bjorn. I appreciate that. So where do we start? Well, as the riders are taking on the reverse KOM, and a few riders have been spat out the back once again as it's turning into an elimination race ever so slowly. Did Quentin Molyneux not make it to the top? Oh, come on, Quentin, where are you? Did I miss you while I was reading out that speech? Oh, come on, Quentin. No, it looks like Quentin Molyneux has not made the front group, unfortunately. I don't see the cycling up callers in there. But if you don't know what SADA do, or they were usually called Swift Anti-Doping Agency, now called SIVA Set, is they were a group of volunteers who did not get paid by Swift, one of the few, and they basically went through your data if you submitted it or if you went above 5 watts per kilo, and they would then verify that your virtual efforts on Swift were appropriate, that they were in fact the efforts you're capable of doing. So what they would do, at least from what I understand from Casey Shum when he used to run it, is they would look for outside rides. If you didn't have one, they'd ask you to go out and produce one with a power meter, and that power would then have to be close or match some of the efforts you've done on Swift. So if you can do X amount of watts per kilo for X amount of minutes on Swift, they ask you to do the same outside, and if that activity matches the one you have on Swift, well, bam. I know it's not that simple. It's not as simple as that. But that's in layman terms is what SADA was initially made for. That way, because we all want this to happen. We all want this to be a fair playing ground. We all want this to be, look, I'm racing that guy. I'm racing that guy. I trust that guy as an Oahu kicker. I trust that guy as an Tax Neo. Ergo, he must be accurate. Ergo, he must be accurate because I know I'm accurate. You're never going to have full transparency, full trust in everyone else, but in the terms of Swift racing where it is now, it's quite close. And especially if you race something like the CVR World Cup and you've gone and done a CVR World Cup finale, you get a little bit of a tick. You get a bit of an approval. Right, you've done it. You've proved yourself. Now I'm never going to question you again. So SIVA Set, though, I'd love like Cycling Equipment Administration of Swift. I'm not sold on the name, guys. I'm sorry. As a marketeer, I'm not sold on the name just yet. But just like Double Draft, maybe it just takes a bit of getting used to. But regardless, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all the work you do for free in the whole Swift community. Without you, the racing wouldn't be as good as it is today. Because when you go on Swift Power and you go and look through down the results and you see that bright orange set next to somebody's name, it's quite awesome to know you raced that guy and that guy is legit. And whether you've beaten him or not, you raced with somebody of that caliber and you now have someone to target. We're coming to the end of the second lap of 4. We're heading out to the third lap now, and it's interesting to see how the race has unfolded so far, because it is a hilly course, but the way the reverse hilly course is set up is that there's only really one point of there's only really one point of confrontation, like of the reverse hilly at the very beginning when you turn right. That's where you can drop everybody. Otherwise, you really can't. Like, you would have to go on an organized attack between like Tim Cartwright, Morten Veng, etc., Jim McQuaid, and they could possibly do this, but why would they? So it looks like on this course, and I know commentators shouldn't really do this, but it looks like we're heading towards a sprint. So if you want to get yourself a cup of tea, a biscuit or something, sit back and relax, because unless somebody really takes the bull by the horns, we're heading towards a reduced sprint between this bunch, which I'm not complaining. I want to see Morten Veng, Søren Bay, and the rest of this crew, Gavin Arber. I mean, a massive bunch sprint on the reverse Haley course would be fun to watch, but we've got Engner off the front with Mr. McQuaid of Draft. Merritt is in there as well. Cartwright is singing in there. Igor Korps, another great sprinter, an absolute unit, using that Training Peaks kit on Swift. So 37 kilometers in total. We've got about 17 kilometers left. That is 2 laps of the reverse Haley course. But if you like Björn, have something you'd like me to talk about on this broadcast, and you have me on Facebook, or you can find me on Facebook. My name is Jesper Anker, or on Instagram, Jesper Anker. Feel free to send me a message. This can be your chance to have a bit of an influence on a Swift race. Usually, we can do it throughout the Facebook comments, but I would love for you to send me something. It's just a topic or something you'd like to hear my thoughts on, perhaps, or I don't know. Who do you think is going to win the race? I mean, looking at it, if we have to analyze a sprint finish, we're looking at Smith. I know he's got a massive kick for him from innovation. Søren Bay, Igor Korps, Vidar Mel, quite strong. Tim Cartwright from a breakaway. Killam is quite strong. Mason Butler. It's going to come down to an aero power up. It's going to come down to who targets or who pops the aero power up at the right moment, who's in the draft when the sprint starts, and who is strong enough to break that double draft and come around at the very end and time that sprint to perfection. That's what we're looking at, but I would gladly be proven wrong. Last week I was proven wrong when we saw Johannes Hermann go over the top with a big gap, and we thought he was going to take it, but he didn't. It came down to us. Well, he did take it, but he wasn't going to take it solo. He got caught. You guys were right, but we'll see what's going to happen this week. It looks like every time we get to this point of the race, Tim Cartwright just accelerates. He does his little interval of 10 watts per kilo, gets over the top, and then he stops pedaling. He brings it down to 0 watts, and he just freewheels. He's actually popping an aero power up. This would say to me this is a real move from Tim, and he's not just playing around. So we're seeing what Tim Cartwright is doing now, 840 watts. Whether he continues this now or lets go down to 0 will prove whether or not this is a serious move from Tim Cartwright. 8 seconds off the front, 7 seconds off the front, 70 watts per kilo, 150, 160. He's sitting at 63 kilometers an hour. What's he going to do now? Tim Cartwright, he has still got the aero power up. He's going to get another power up once he goes through this banner, but no one has gone with him. And this is one of the paradoxes of Swift. No one really needs to take a turn on the front the way this works, because everyone goes as fast as everyone else. So the pace is dictated by the size of the group, not how fast the guy in the front. Like in the ideal world, in the ideal world of physics and dynamics and everything, the group would be like an arrowhead, and you'd have one guy dragging the group along, and everyone would be going the speed of the guy at the very front, because that's how aerodynamics work. But the way the algorithm works on this is basically the more riders that are in, the faster the group is going, it will just speed up like a truck, like a steam train. But we're seeing how far Tim Cartwright is off the front. I've yet to see a solo move work in double draft. He's got 7 seconds, 6 seconds. He's going at 5 watts per kilo. Regardless of the effort, we got to commendate that Tim Cartwright is putting in an effort. He's sitting at 400 watts, and he's not just going to sit in and play the long game. He's making the most of it, and he's having fun. And on that note, I'm going to take another swig of my coffee. So kudos, Tim Cartwright. Keep racing, man. I do wonder if someone tuned in on Twitch and they'd have no idea what Swift is, and they're looking at it and they're like, right, I'm watching somebody race a virtual game. Like, what is happening here? What is this? Like, that is the funny bit. So, because I'm thinking back to my first experience with Zwift, which was about 3 years ago now. Oh my God, it's been 3 years ago since I got involved with Zwift. Oh, my life's changed. But 3 years ago, roughly, I think I saw a GCN live stream with Jens Voigt, where it was Jens Voigt versus the presenters, which were like Simon Richardson and Dan Lloyd, and they had Neil Rogers doing the commentary from Cycling Tips, and that was so much fun. It's changed so much. But think if you were someone on Twitch and you watch it and you tune in for the first time and you were like a Fortnite, like you just watch Fortnite religiously, or you're into your Counter-Strike, or you're into your other games, and you tune in and you're like, bicycles? Glowing bicycles? That is the biggest obstacle if you are Swift to try and sell to that demographic. But they're getting bigger. We're seeing more and more people tune in. In my chats, I see Claudia Bering says, Jesper, you need to get restream for Twitch to see the chat. Yeah, I know, but I'm on my phone. I didn't prepare for this, Claudia. I'm not. Do I look like somebody who prepares? I apologize. I thought Facebook was going to work. Everyone is always on Facebook. My life is on Facebook. My business is on Facebook. Facebook will work. So I had that open. I started seeing the chat. And then now the Facebook stream is gone. So I'm going to rely on personal messages, which is quite funny. But yeah, if you are watching on Twitch, you can literally have a field day because I'm not able to see the chat because I've only got one monitor ahead of me. So if you are on Twitch, you can literally say anything. It will, I wouldn't know. So this is your turn. If you want to heckle Jesper Anker live on air without any repercussion, not that I'm endorsing it, but I'm saying this is literally your hall pass. Here we go. Third time of action. We're heading up the reverse KOM. We got Merritt in the front. Hund, Zernbay, Killiam. What's going to happen this time around? I am expecting somebody to try something at some point in the race, because you're not going to beat Zernbay in the sprint. You're not going to beat EUROPE in the sprint. Like, this is where Swift racing knowledge comes into play. You need to know that there are certain guys, if you take them to a sprint, like a Kim Little, a Greg Leo, you're not going to beat them. Like, not in a million years. Like, no. So if you're a Killiam, if you're a Mason Butler, if you're a Blair, if you are a Quaid, you need to attempt something. Well, it may be that you're happy with coming fifth, coming fourth, coming third, but if you really want to go out, if you want to go out there and make a name for yourself, if you want to be remembered, if you want to be the Michael Pepper of the Chop series, if you want to be the John O'Bates of the Kiss Crit Australia, I'm not too good. We don't have that many. I guess we have Mason Butler of last week. He raced his butt out on the Fox Hill, but we do see an attack off the front from Team Poland. It looks like Trzynski, and we got Pirska, who did attack together on that New York course we did on the very first broadcast of mine. But we do have Team Poland trying something here. And if someone can go with him, we got Killiam of Watchdog Racing from Canada. Igor Corpse is, man, for a guy's name who's Corpse, he seems very alive to me. He always near the front. He's always up there, very attentive, and he always keeps a good eye on the attack. It's actually Morten Veng. I've been saying Vidar Mel. Sorry, it's Morten Veng who's the Norwegian champion who's up there. Jim McQuaid, Bergen, Sørenbay, and then there's a bit of a split further back now. And you should be careful now not to get dropped off the back. And we're seeing that happen to Sørenbay. So Søren's out of the draft due to the way the game, chooses a path for you. That's another fun story, actually. So I don't remember who I heard this from, but did you know that the way Swift basically calculates your path, it takes matrices? So every road is made up of tiny dots. Every little inch of a road has a dot, and Swift will then basically connect the dots. So as Søren moves around, it will look for available dots, and it'll move him to the next one. So when he can't move forward because there's a rider ahead of him, Swift then goes, right, if that dot is taken, I will move to the dot either to the left or the right. And that is why sometimes your rider goes way out of the way, way left or way right. That's because the matrix system is oh, that block is taken, that block is taken, that block is taken. Well, I'm going to go to that one, but then it doesn't adjust to go back in. And of course, I have absolutely no evidence of this. This was just a discussion I've had with somebody who knew this about half a year ago or something in Long Beach. So this was just like, this is absolute. This could have changed by now. This could totally not be true, but this is just the conversation I've had that I just remember. And I thought it was fun to think that that's how decision making is made for you in Swift. Basically, your rider avatar, where he places himself in the road, is completely up to the game and how it sees the matrix, which is interesting. But we got another attack off the front. It's Merritt once again, who's going over the top. We've seen a 3:26 as the fastest time so far. Will that be an improvement to it? Mohammed out of Sweden is there as well. We're going to see. So 3:27, a 3:24. I mean, that's definitely fast. Like, one of the effects of double drafting is races end quicker, which means you have more matches, I guess. So the quicker you end it, the less you have to pedal, the less pedal revolutions you have to do. So technically, you would be fitter towards the end. You'd be fresher and ready for a sprint. I don't know, maybe the unseen effects of double drafting. I would love for somebody to be completely obsessed with Swift racing and really do the legwork. Like, I have attempted this, but I have no backbone. I have no, I just can't, I struggle with doing rigorous work. But for somebody to go in and really map out Swift racing, like literally every variable, every single variable of Swift racing, map it out and go, right, this is what you need to do. On the Swift forward KOM, the perfect attack is here, literally right there. The perfect setup is literally this setup for this given course. Drafting, right, this is how well you draft. If the guy in front of you is doing 300 watts at 70 kilos, you, due to our calculations, need to do 220, and you need to stick around there and trust it. Like, that is what I would love. I would need to, I know Eric Slang of Swift Insiders has dabbled in this, gone in and out, and he's done a great guide on it. I know James Gill of Titanium Geek has done similar, but for someone to really specialize in Swift racing and go, look, you're racing this course, you have this peloton, if you want to do a sprint and you're able to do this sort of effort, this is where you go. Like, I want stats and stats, but I just can't be bothered doing it myself because I get, just have the attention span of a 10-year-old. Like, I'm like a butterfly that way. Oh, a butterfly that way. But there we go. Now, last lap of racing. 37 kilometers in total. Who is gonna take this one? So, last lap, we're gonna see 9 kilometers of the reverse KOM course. This is gonna be for all the marvels. We saw 3:24 from Merritt. We still have a massive peloton. You don't often see this anymore. But I'm like, this honestly could be one of the biggest sprint finishes in Swift racing history. I mean, you see Doring saying double draft. I do feel him, because we're heading, like, if this doesn't change, if no one blows it up on the reverse KOM, this could be fun. But there is something that I could be wrong, because the reverse KOM, you come down, you finish very quickly. So what happens is, you could blow it up, you go straight down, you go into the sprint. So you could be so strung out, you'll only see a sprint between the first 4 or 5 is what could happen. Because last time of the reverse KOM, you saw it completely strung out. And if you're at the back of the group, you're going to struggle to get to the front of the group in time for the sprint. So we might not see the biggest bunch sprint on Swift, but it will definitely be massive. And this is where, if we now think about strategy, like, this is where everyone keeps saying, oh, Swift, there's no strategy. Oh, it's just what monkeys, pedal. And I've even said this. But when you get to this point in the race, there is a certain level of strategy involved. Because now, where are you going to position yourself? When are you going to launch? How far out do you need to pop that power up? And to answer those questions, first of all, in the reverse KOM, you just have to just ride out. Like, you are going to have to do 2 maximum efforts now on this course, on this lap of racing. You have to do a maximum effort up the reverse KOM. You have to sit in and just fight for it. And then you come down the forward KOM, and from the bottom of the forward KOM, it's full gas to the finish line. That finish line, it's basically the sprint starts from the reverse KOM. It doesn't end, it's just full on from there to the finish line. So when you come down the forward KOM, you can pop the aero power up from the left-hand turn. You come down, you go over the bridge, you do that little spiral, you come around. When you take that left-hand turn onto the straightaway, that's where you can pop the aero power up, and it will last to the end. And even so, we have double draft on. You can actually pop it underneath the bridge, I would say. Or that might, no. Yeah, I think you can pop it underneath the bridge, actually. It would be a gamble, but I think it could pay off. So anyway, I hope you've got an aero power up packed if you're listening. I know we're on Twitch, so there might not be that many of the racers listening tonight, but this is where you want that aero power up. But get ready. In the Twitch chat right now, please do come in with your predictions. Who do you think is going to win? I'll give you 5 seconds before I make my prediction. And those 5 seconds, I'm going to take another sip of my coffee. That was your 5 seconds. We're going to see Cernbay take it. I mean, I'm just going to keep predicting Cernbay because this is the 3rd week running now. I like... Even a broken clock is right twice a day, correct? So we're just going to hope that it is one of the 24 hours and the clock is slowly moving towards Cernbay. So Cernbay, Danish national champion out of Team X, I think he's got this one. But he struggled. He hasn't struggled, but he hasn't been near the front of the actions. A safe bet would be an Igor Corpse. A safe bet would be a Gavin Arbour. A safe bet would be a Morten Vang, but I'm not sure how good this course fits him. And probably, by far, the safest bet is Mr. Tim Cartwright, the juggernaut of Swift. Like, if there was any man to put your money on, it'd probably be Tim Cartwright. The only downside is, depends on what Tim Cartwright shows up. Is it the Tim Cartwright that's fully focused, like the KISS E-Crit, the EU E-Crit, bike tax, that really wanted to win? Or is it the Tim Cartwright that just wants to have a bit of fun? That depends. That's what you have to put into your statistics. Oh my God, imagine if you could bet on Swift racing. Imagine if somebody put up a webpage like swiftbetting.com. This is me spitballing completely. I'm not saying anyone should do this. I'm not sure the legalities. I'm just saying, as a thought process, imagine if you could bet live on racing. So we're watching right now. Somebody's updating the odds, and then you could bet on like Tim Cartwright to take this at odds 250. You could bet your money. Oh my God, that would actually, like, this is unreal, but that would take off. Whoever makes that, I want royalties, because I could easily imagine that taking off. But then the legalities of betting on cycling and wherever you are in the world and virtual platform, yeah, don't do it. But the idea is great, but yeah, don't do it. Here we go, though. We're heading up to the reverse KOM. And if you've listened this far, 40 minutes, actually 42 minutes of Jesper rambling on a Thursday evening, I do apologize. I don't know. Today's been a bit different to the usual. I think it's the lack of the Facebook chat. So it has been a bit more rambly than I normally am. Normally, it's a bit more fun and a bit more interactive. But if you listened, just see this as the one bad apple that fell from the tree. I know I can do better. Next Wednesday when we do the morning Grand Fondo, or next Thursday on the KISS European race, hopefully Facebook is better, and that right there will make some apple pie for everyone. Cernbay now near the front of the action. He's taken up his lesson from the earlier 3 laps, and it looks like he's ready for it as well. We're also seeing Mason Butler, the young gun out of the United States, Pirskav, Team Poland, Doving, KW. Could that be Kai Barrett? Could that be Kai Barrett of BRT? I think it could. Igor Corpse, Tim Cartwright is moving up. Drzyinski. We got Jim McQuaid. Carl Smith is up there as well. Talbot. Group is thinning out now. It's getting smaller and smaller, but there's still like 25 people in it, 25 to 30 people in this. And get ready for a nuclear reverse KOM. 324, we're going to see a 318. 318.26. Actually, 318.2, I guess it would show. That is what I'm predicting from this. And we're going to see Tim Cartwright set that time, I think. Or Achillium. Anyway, it's going to be one of the lighter guys. But here we go. Put your hands together because, ladies and gentlemen, for the last time this evening, we're heading up the reverse KOM. We're going to see the aliens. Here we go. 6 watts per kilo on the front. 7 watts per kilo. Cartwright is near the front now. This is where they start ramping it up. They know this is the last time they have to do it tonight. They raced for 40 minutes. Morten Vang already at 8 watts per kilo, 7.5. We're only at 3%. He's got a feather power up. Unless he breaks away here, that nullifies. That means he's got no chance really of winning this because you need an aero power up to win this. So Morten Vang using it to his advantage. That feather power up, featherweight, is going to work now. 8%, 9%. He's got a 2-second gap. You can see Killiam of Washed Up Racing is there. Pirska, Grimshaw, featherweights being popped left, right, and center. If you've got a featherweight, this is where you make it work because you know you don't have that aero power up. You know you're at a disadvantage. See, Killiam is still working it with a vola of Belgian Zwift racers. Corpse is there, Cartwright is there, Pirska. You just gotta see now who's been dropped off the back. An aero power up is being popped. Is somebody That is somebody from Innovation Cycling who's popping that Aero Power up. That is going to be tough, actually. Yes, it looks to be somebody from, or it could be Doving of Team X who's using it. So Cernbay, he's in amongst the action. He's sitting on an Aero Power up for sure. Morten Vang near the back. Berget near the back. Enger's dropped. Gavin Arbor is dropped as well. We got the tennis coach. He's got the elbow there. So Blair's, Merritt, Killian. Merritt set the fastest time early on with a 3:24. Set 3:18. It would not be a bad guess to see Merritt's going to go and do that now. He's sitting at 4.5, 5 watts per kilo. Drzyński of Team Poland, Kerlem, and Blair all in the draft. So there's a bit of downtime now. They've survived the toughest bit, and that group is still massive. Like that's a big group now. Is there going on? Let's see what's going to happen now with Merritt with a 2-second gap off the front, 3-second gap off the front. They're going to start to hit the other incline now as the gradient goes up to 4%, 5% now. Mason Butler's on the front with Doving and Burring and Blair as well. Are the Norwegians going to take this one? This could be an interesting play from the Norwegians. How are they going to do this? They know there's some massive sprinters in this group that you will struggle to beat on a good day. Cartwright is still in here. I suspect Tim Cartwright goes now. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a prediction and a half. Tim Cartwright, Aero Power Up. He goes from this far out. He stopped for a second. He changed gear. He goes again, I guess. 7 watts per kilo. He is not going to let go. If you do not get on this wheel, that is the last you've seen of Tim Cartwright. And Igor Korps knows this. Tim Cartwright can hold it from here to the finish line, and he intends to do so. Igor Korps closely in the wheels. Anyone else with him? We got Paul Blair out of the United States as well, AFC, but Tim Cartwright, 7.5, 7.3, 6.9. He is not going to let go of the gas now. He's going to stay on it. He's going to make you work for it, but it looks like he's done nothing. He popped an Aero Power up and everything, but they're just coming around him. As Mohammed out of Sweden, the Swedish Swift Riders, is going to go over the top here at 9 watts per kilo. This could be even quicker than the 3:18. I fear this is going to be really quick, actually. It wasn't. It was a 3:21. It was. So it was close enough. It was much quicker. But how do they react now? We got 2 kilometers left. They come down the forward KOM now, and this is where you got to take stock. Who's made an Aero Power Up being popped by Mason Butler? Mason was in trouble on that hill. He had to pop his Aero Power Up just to stick with him. Maybe a bit trigger happy on the power up right there. He could have saved it for the sprint finish. Igor Korps resting. So is Tim Cartwright. Morten Vang has been dropped. That is a big hitter who's gone off the back now. Kilometer 0.2, 1.2 to go now. They come down the hill, they turn left, they go over the bridge. I think Tim will go long again. I think Tim, as soon as they hit the flat road, is going to slingshot through this group and go again. It seems like such a Tim Cartwright move, and I'm ready for it. Here we go. 72 kilometers an hour, 1 kilometer to go now, turning left, and now they're on the flat roads. 0% gradient, they're going to turn left and go into the sprint finish. Who is going to take this? We got an attack off the front. That is Merritt again. Merritt 6 watts per kilo, but it's not, the kick is not strong enough to break the draft, but he's just going to lead everyone out now. 700 meters to go now. Straight and then turn right, and that's the finish line. We've got Igor Korps popping in the Aero Power Up. We've got someone else going as well. That is Talbot and Mohammed. There's Aero Power Ups everywhere. As P. Blair is in the front, so is Leverson. We're looking at it. Tim Cartwright is in prime position. It's going to be Evola. It's going to be so close. Mason Butler is coming as well. This is absolute carnage from the side. Evola, but Igor Korps, who else was going to be? He's going to make everyone else regret they signed up tonight. Igor Korps takes the win. Great race. We saw Cernbay come into second place, that looked like. But Igor Korps, I'm sorry, that finish. Everyone had Aero Power-Ups. They were going too fast. The camera could not do the overhead shot. So we just went from the side. Igor Korps takes the win in KISS EU race on a Thursday evening. If you watched on Twitch, I thank you so much for keeping me company. Let me know on Swift Races if you watched. And yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you guys all next Wednesday for another cast.